This BruCast episode is brought to you by the BruCast Store. Explore a store filled with awesome goodies from hoodies to t-shirts to mugs. We've got you covered. Stay in style with BruCast. Embrace the shock, set the trend. Visit now bru-cast.com/store. Link below.
BruCast is back, baby.
All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another BruCast episode. If it's your first time watching the show, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please rank the show 5 stars. This will ensure that the podcast is recommended to more people and will allow me to keep doing what I love. BruCast is also on Instagram, X, TikTok, where we upload shorts with the highlights of the show. So follow now BruCast on Instagram, X, and TikTok. So all links will be in the description below. Just check it out. So our guest today is Daniel Hauge. How are you doing, my friend?
Hey man, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to do this. I think we're gonna have a great episode.
Yeah, me too. So thank you very much for being here, for being part of BruCast. I'm also very excited for this episode. So nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too, man. It's cool to meet someone who's in Europe. I'm in Denmark, as I told you, and you're in German currently, so that's pretty cool. I'm on a lot of American and Canadian stuff, so it's
Yeah.
cool.
Have you ever been to Germany?
I have family in Frankfurt, and I have friends in Berlin and Hamburg, so yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I never been to Denmark though. One day.
Yeah, one day.
So Daniel, so how old are you, man?
I'm 24.
24.
Yes.
Impressive. As we're gonna
Thank you.
cover today, like you already achieved a lot, and it's very inspiring. I was inspired by it. And what about we start with some introductions? Like tell a little bit more about us, about you, please.
Absolutely. So the short bio of me is that I'm an author and I am an entrepreneur. I'm the founder of a company called Passion for Achievement, where we help entrepreneurs perform in and out of business. We do some lifestyle design, so we look at the entrepreneurs' routines and their energy levels, the productivity levels, stuff like that, and we see if we can help increase all of that. So yeah, I've been doing that for a long time now, and I really enjoy it.
So, for example, there's a company who is trying to increase their productivity. They can
Mm-hmm.
contact you, and that's how it starts, basically.
Absolutely. We're working with entrepreneurs and freelancers, and occasionally we'll work with salespeople and authors, stuff like that. So basically, someone who is in control of their own time, which can be a gift, but it can also
Hmm.
be a curse. And so we help them manage that better.
All right. So the way I imagine when I say, for example, imagine if like the CEO of a company, am I having problems with productivity? I'm actually having problems with my employees not being fast enough. That's the first thing that I think about. So would you help, like you would go to the company and help find ways to make the employees a little bit faster, maybe find things that they could improve in their workflow, something like that?
Yeah, sure. I mean,
Yeah.
very often when a company is not performing, I would absolutely look at the leadership before I would look at anything else. I know that's a tough pill to swallow if you're a CEO or an entrepreneur, but I truly believe that the leader is the bottleneck in some way, shape, or form in many cases. But many of the things that we are working on with these leaders, whether it's an entrepreneur or a business owner, whatever it may be, a lot of these things you can help your employees with as well. So we can certainly help an entire organization be more productive and be more not just productive in like a robot way, but more productive in a way where it feels good as well. We look a lot at for an entrepreneur, for example, we look a lot at things like stress levels, and are you still passionate about what you're doing? Does it feel right what you're doing? Because even though that may be some of the more soft um, things, it actually translates into a lot of the hard stuff, such as how much are you producing and what's the bottom line. So yeah.
Man, it's amazing. I wish every company had someone like you, like in house, just helping the employees full time. That would be amazing. Um, I read somewhere that some countries, I don't know if Denmark is doing this, like they're trying to make the work week just 4 days instead of five, because apparently reducing the work amount, people are just more productive. I was like, I don't understand it, but I like it.
Yeah, I think it depends a lot on the company culture, on the
Okay.
employee. I think it's a good idea, and I think we're working towards some of the right things. I think if you design a workplace or your daily work routines, all these things, if you design them around your values, I think
Mm.
you will get the most out of people in a good way. I think you'll help them maximize their potential, but still stay more excited. They'll be less stressed and all of that. And so I think for a lot of people, they value time with their family. They value time, free time where they can do their hobbies, and they just value time off from work. And so if you give these people more time off from work, then I absolutely can see the idea that they would be more productive in the hours that they are there. Now, not everyone wants more free time, right? So if you have someone who's 22 and he just wants to hustle, for him, maybe he'd be more excited if you gave him like more responsibility or if you let him actually do some overtime. So I think instead of just aiming to have people work less, I think we should look at having people work around their values, and then if their values are working less, then we give them that.
That sounds nice, but I can't imagine how you can sell this to a CEO. Listen, your employee wants to work less, so let him work less. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, but I think actually, if you frame it right, I think actually it's a pretty cool pitch. If you
Mm,
if you tell a CEO or someone who's in charge of payroll, you're telling him, hey, how about only paying this person for 32 hours instead of 37, but you're gonna
yeah.
get the same outcome, right? So then, I mean, that's a pretty good deal actually when you think about it for the CEO. So, but also, I mean, if the outcome is the same or even better, we've seen a lot of studies from like Finland and stuff like that, where the output is actually not just higher per hour worked, but actually just higher overall, which
Yeah.
once again would be a massive win for the leader or the CEO.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. That sounds amazing. Um, since the pandemic hit, like a lot of companies, they had to adapt with like working from home. That was a reality back then, but since like COVID has kind of toned down and it's not happening anymore, a lot of companies I saw that start forcing employees to go back to the office, and was like, what? What's the point? A lot of companies, especially tech companies, like all the work that you can do at the office, you can do from home. So why they're forcing people to go back? It's just demotivating for some of them that now found more time to spend with the family. They are even more productive, working from somewhere else. Uh, so what are your views on that?
Very good question, and the answer is I'm not really sure
Okay.
because I'm gonna give such a boring answer here, but I see both sides.
Yeah.
I see absolutely some people had the taste of having more time with their families, having more flexibility, and now they've gotten accustomed to that, and they like it, and now it's being taken away from them as well. Sorry, being taken away again, and it's just that's a privilege that you've kind of had for 2 years and then it's taken away. I understand that. I also see from the business side if they can see that there is something that is performing worse, like perhaps people are not
Mm.
working as many hours, they're not putting as many work into the hours, sorry, as much work into the hours, they're not showing up for the meetings as often as they did when they were um, at the office. Maybe the teamwork isn't what it used to be. So I think as a company, I would very much look at the numbers basically and look at, you know, how are people performing when we give them these privileges. So last week I gave this person 2 hours off because he wanted to go to a dance recital for his daughter. Maybe this is just an example, And this entire week he's been doing twice as much as he usually does because of the gratitude and all of that from me giving him those 2 hours last week. Right? That could be an example, and then obviously that would be a win-win-win for everybody. But if you see that, okay, our productivity has gone down by 40% since people started working from home, then obviously as a company you wanna, because don't underestimate the resources that it takes to run an office. Like for a lot of these companies, the office in terms of rent is extremely expensive. It's a big part of their expenses, and so if they would have the same results while people were working at home, and then they would spare the expense of having an office, I think they would do it. So the reason that they're pulling them back, I hope, is because they see a clear difference in performance. And also the work from home thing is it's not for everybody. It's, in fact, I think for a lot of people it's not the right fit. For me, I work from home a lot and I get stuff done. But I have many people in my life where they look at me and they go, Daniel, I would never do anything if I was just put in my own living room and told to be productive. So yeah, I think it's a difficult kind of dilemma.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, it depends on the person, right? So, um, I have friends who are programmers and they just can't concentrate at the open space environment in the company. They just need to be in their corner, and if they can do that at home, even better, you know. So I think I agree with you. It depends on the person, basically. Yeah. Daniel, I think we're covering a lot of interesting topics, but you haven't mentioned. I think I think we you haven't mentioned the name of your company yet.
My company's passion for achievement. So that's the number four. So passion for achievement. And I am not really sure how that name came up. It just came to me. I think I saw something that was called passion for something, and I was like, no, achievement. That's what I want. Passion for achievement. And then that was it. When I started the company, it was very generic personal growth, and I
Hmm.
wanted to help everybody. So everything that had something to do with personal growth, I wanted to study that and then share it to my customers and my audience. And now I've kind of dialed in a little bit more on what kind of personal growth we do and for who we're trying to help and all of that. So, but at first it was really just all about helping people achieve, helping people maximize their potential, and that's still what it's about, just more niche down, I would say.
I see. Okay. When did you start it?
2016,
2016. Okay, it's been a while. All right. So,
but but that was sometimes when I tell these stories, I've shared my story on other podcasts of my past where I was very off track. We can talk about that. Um, and then they kind of try and match up these timelines where okay, this was your off track period, and this was when you started passive achievement, and this was, but a lot of it kind of overlapped, right? It's not just like one day I went from being involved in crime and all these things, and then the second day I was just a super successful entrepreneur. So it was kind of like a lot of back and forth and a lot of overlapping of like harsh, tough, off track periods, and then still trying to study personal growth and share what I learned. And so wasn't really a company the first many years, basically just a domain name. So
yeah, but I mean, you gotta start somewhere, right?
yeah.
I don't know where I saw it. Probably in the TikTok. Just someone saying like the only difference between those who make it and those who don't is that those who make it don't give up. It's the only difference. If you keep doing it, if you love it, baby steps, trying to improve it, you're gonna get there. It's just a matter of keep doing it because most people, for some reason, whatever, you probably understand this more than I do. Just give up.
Yeah, because when would you like give someone the stamp that says you've lost, defeat, you've failed and it's done? Like when would you do that? Would you do that after not getting as many leads as you wanted to? No, you'd learn from that and then you try and do something else or do more to get more leads. Okay, then but then maybe you're a failure. You should stop when those leads aren't converting. No, you just find out why they're not converting, right? Learn their objections, try to work around those. And so it's like, when have you lost if you don't stop, right? If you just keep having some kind of feedback loop, like obviously don't continue running into the wall and then just doing the same thing. But oftentimes there's some kind of feedback loop, right? If you're talking to 10 people and nine of them have the same objection, obviously there's a feedback loop that you can then leverage to do something better. So I truly believe that if you don't stop, when can you say that you've lost? When can you say that it's over? So I like that quote. I like that TikTok quote you got there.
Man, I love it. How do you know if you lost if you don't stop? That's perfect.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so passion for achievement. So what was your motivation behind passion for achievement?
Oh man, I'm okay. I'm gonna go into my personal story then because I can't explain it any other way.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, so I was very off track in life in my early teen years and then kind of moving up in my teens. I had some death in my family and kind of pushed me off track. And so I stopped concentrating in school. I was there, and I was there maybe like 3 times per week. When I did show up, I arrived too late. I would go home too early. I just couldn't really be there. Um, I would start hanging around the wrong crowd. I would, at a very young age, start drinking, start partying, start having sex, start smoking, all these things. We're talking like 12 years old here, and yeah, I'll just continue down this path and just it just grow worse, and the drugs got more intense, and people started showing up that were involved in like really bad stuff, and I was just so off track, man. My mental health was terrible, my physical health was terrible. I was really going down a bad road. In fact, I share this realization, this story here. I was at one point I was at like a summer vacation home with my friends, and we were sitting in a circle. We're just having fun, drinking. Some of them probably doing some drugs, and we're just having a good time. And one of them came up with this little fun game where we should all of us should guess how old we thought we were gonna be. So someone said, I think I'll be 85 years old. And the next person said, I think I'll be 92. And it was my turn to answer, and I just completely killed the vibe because I just, with a stone cold face, I just said 21. And they're all like, "No, come on, then. What are you talking about?" I said, "No, there's no way that I'm making it past 21. Like I just don't see a scenario where I'm gonna be 23 years old or 25. I don't see it." And that scared all of them, obviously, but also scared me a lot because I kind of knew, but saying it out loud like that, I realized, man, I have a mother, I have a brother, I have some childhood friends, I have good people. I gotta turn this around. So either I'm gonna continue down this route and just not be here for a long time, or I'm gonna turn things around. And if I choose to turn things around, I'm not gonna build a mediocre life. I'm not gonna build a tolerable life. I'm not gonna build something where I'm fine. If I'm actually gonna give life a real shot, then I want everything. I want all of it. I want the career, I want the finances, I want the health, I want the powerful relationships, I want everything. I will build my version of a world class life. And so that's fortunately, I decided to go that route. And I'm a very obsessive person. So when I commit to something, I do it a lot. And so I started spending all my Christmas and birthday wishes on personal growth books. I got a job as a cashier where I was working 10, 11 hours per day. At night, I would oftentimes work as a dishwasher. And just everything I made, I was still living at home. So everything I made, I just poured that into personal growth. Books, courses, seminars, eventually conferences, stuff like that. And yeah, I started really fixing my life. I started feeling better mentally, physically, I started being more productive. I started working hard. I started seeking out better people and or better relationships. very clear that my life was getting better. And so in this journey of trying to build a world-class life and trying to build something for myself, I realized personal growth was going to be the primary thing that was going to do all that for me. And another thing that was going to be huge was entrepreneurship. This thing called entrepreneurship, it just kept showing up. Everyone I was learning personal growth from was an entrepreneur, and every entrepreneur I admired did really well, personal growth wise, and then had books on that as well. And so I just kind of saw a connection. Once I saw that, I started experimenting with entrepreneurship as well. So that's why I bought the domain. I started just sharing some of the things, personal growth wise, that that I'd learned and that worked for me. And I didn't step out and say I'm an expert. I have 40 years of experience. Listen to me. I'm a guru. Nothing like that. I just stepped forward and said, look, I came from here to here, and a lot of what I bought and read and studied didn't work for me. But these couple of things right here, they worked, and I shared them in free Facebook groups. I shared them by creating like small videos, writing articles, stuff like that. And people started actually getting a lot of value and started asking for more and more and more. And then over time, that became um, what passion for achievement is today. And now I've really gone all in on that combination of personal growth and entrepreneurship because now I also have experience and results as an entrepreneur. So now I can specifically help um, entrepreneurs and freelancers and people that are in control of their time as I am and have been for a long time. So that's how it came to be.
Man, that's outstanding.
Thank you.
Wow. So, do you know what happened to that crew? Just that you used to
I
hang
do.
out with? Yeah.
I do. Um, One of them was just sentenced to 12 years in prison.
Damn.
He was and this was pretty scary. He was actually in a scenario, I think like an hour from where I live, where after that, him and like three other people that I don't personally know, they were actually wanted. I'm not making this up. They were actually wanted in the entire country with their photo and full name and everything. They fled to Turkey. I'm not kidding. They fled to Turkey, and me and my friends, from back then, we kind of knew where they were. It was so scary, and now he decided to come back home and actually turn himself in. He didn't want to be on the run, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be 12 years at least. I know someone else who is doing. He's doing. I don't know if I can say that on the podcast, but he's doing.
Don't say anything that you will regret, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know, but he's very involved in drugs still, and it's just not doing well. And that's it's just whatever you thought their story was gonna be is exactly what their story is. And so once in a while, I'll catch up with them just to make sure because I have known them my entire life just to make sure they're good, and also kind of I think kind of to remind myself of how far I've come and also how powerful that decision back then was.
Yeah.
So, but they're not a big part of my life. I have some absolutely incredible friends that are, four times smarter than me, and every time I'm with them, I'm just, dude, I just get so inspired, and every single time I spend time with them, in some way, shape, or form, I'm a better person afterwards, and I love that. So,
Yeah. Surround yourself with the people you want to become. No, no. I'm fucking the quote up. How was it again? Like you become the five people that you hang out with the most, right?
100%, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Whew. So there was this turning point in your life that you realized when are you gonna die, and then you thought 21. That's when. How old you thought you were gonna die? 21, right?
I thought that was the oldest I was gonna be.
Yeah, there was gonna be, and I was like, no, that's not a life that I want, and that just lights the bulb, and that was a turning point. Wow. Yeah.
By the way, I apologize for if I'm going into too much detail. I just, once I start opening up all that stuff, I just want people to know the story and to know why I'm so passionate about what I'm doing and yeah, I just think that story is a pretty important part of what I'm doing and why and yeah.
Yeah, it's powerful, and this is move people, right? If you're honest about your story and it's a powerful story, this is inspiring. I don't know where I saw it, but like someone said it. The people who hit the lowest are the ones who achieve the most or are most successful in life because they just see like my life. They reach the turning point, like you said. So yeah,
Yeah, and also I think a lot of the skills that you need to learn to get out of some place bad and turn that into something good.
yeah,
You learn things like having thick skin. You learn things like having a clarity or an idea about how to change things in your life. If you've never really truly looked at your life and said, okay, I need to 180 this thing, then you don't have that skill. I think hard work is something you learn if you come from the bottom and work yourself up. I think a lot of lessons and insights and all these things that you learn. I think that's why you hear a lot of people go from, like you said, the bottom and then come up. Also, a lot of people start on the bottom and stay on the bottom, right? So you gotta really pick which one of those you want to be.
of course. One sec. I'm sorry. Um, all right. So you trademarked a method, or it was already marked the DWYP method.
Yeah, the drip method. So the slogan in my logo on Passion for Achievement, beneath it says "Don't waste your potential." I just that's one
Oh,
of my
okay.
main issues. One of my main issues in life is wasted potential, man, and it's everywhere. I just feel like just about every person could do, be, and have more
Hmm.
in the areas of life that matter to them, whether that's their health, their careers, their finances. I see wasted potential everywhere, and I hate it. To me, that's like you're walking on the sidewalk and you find a bucket full of money. There's $1 million in there. You just grab three of them, $3, and then you keep moving on. You could have grabbed so much more. And I think when we have this life and we can absolutely build a powerful career, we can absolutely have the finances, we can have the health, the lifestyle, we can be so much more. And so don't waste your potential is a big part of what I do. And the drip method was an ebook and a course that I was running for years, and it's still, I think, really good series of products. And that was essentially about, once you know what it is that you want in life, this series will kind of help you build the habits and the momentum and eliminate procrastination, eliminate overwhelm and doubt and all these things that often hold people back. So that's what that's about, the drip method.
You developed the drip.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Where people can find it on your website.
Right.
Okay, we're gonna make sure to leave the link on the description below as well. So can you explain a little bit more the whip method? How does it work?
100%. Actually, it's an 8-step thing that we take people through, and the first thing is clarity, which isn't sexy at all. It's not gonna sound super interesting, but it's the crucial first step of everything you want to achieve in life. And so if we don't do that, we can't do any of the other steps. So clarity is very important. And so back then, when I decided that I was going to build a world-class life, the first question that comes to mind that I had to answer was, what is a world-class life? What is a life that's truly worth living? And that's tough work. It's clarity work, trying to figure out what that is. So that's the first step. The way we do that is we dive into your values, which why I'm happy about. We started talking about values right away. You identify what your values are, and for a lot of us, we share some of the same values. We all want to have our health. We all want to have good relationships. But then there are some things where we're different. Some people want freedom. Some people want more security. Some people want respect from others, whereas others just want to be loved. So it's different there. And then what we do is we dive deeper into the layers of those values. So, for example, you can say you value freedom, but what does that mean? For some people that means having, financial freedom. For others, it may mean having location freedom, freedom of location. That's what we talked about again in the beginning of this episode. Is for some people it's very important that their location doesn't matter. So for me, everything I've done today, I could have done here at home, which I did. I could have also done it at a cafe in Turkey. Could have done it on a hotel in Tokyo, and that's important to me that I can do what I do everywhere. But for others, their idea of freedom may be something completely different. It may be time freedom. It may be something third. Could also be, for me, for example, a huge value for me is confidence. I'm a better person, a better version of myself in every way when I'm confident and I have self-respect. So that's going to be a big pillar, a big part of my life if I want a great life. But what does confidence mean? Is that how you look? Is that for me a big part of my confidence is how much am I putting into my work? Am I doing my best with my work? That's a big part of my confidence, for example. Could be how are you performing socially. So we dive deeper into your values, and then we dive deeper into that, into the layers of those values. And once again, it's not sexy. I know a lot of people they want they want 6 productivity hacks or do this for 20 minutes and you'll see this result. And we'll get to that, I promise. But the clarity work is important because once you know what it is that you're trying to build. So let's say you have this world-class life. You have this vision. You've painted this picture where all of your values are kind of are included, right? You have an abundance of these values that are important to you in your life. So we would look at, okay, how would you like each of these values to look like? What kind of location freedom would you want? What kind of financial freedom would you want? What kind of, for your confidence, how would you like to be performing socially? So we actually dive deeper into what exactly would you want for each of these values. Um, and then once you know what you want to have, what you want to do, and you also have an idea of where you are, now there's a gap, right? So let's say you want a level 7 of this value, but you're currently at a 3. Well, now there's a gap. And this gap is what we're looking to bridge. We're looking to close that, right? Make that gap smaller. We will then go into the next step, which will be identifying the bridge the gap activities that would, well, bridge the gap. And these are very, very easy to find. Oftentimes you can just Google for 10 seconds, you'll find it. So one thing you want to improve in your life is weightlifting. Sorry, your muscle mass. You Google, okay, I need to do weightlifting. Okay, I would like to improve my cardio. You Google, you can either run, you can go on a bike, you can whatever. I would like to achieve this or that. We have all the information in the world, so we know what it is that will bridge the gap from where we are to where we'd like to be. So when we have this bridge the gap activity, then we'll look into the next steps, which are systemizing them, automating them, scaling them, all of that. We can talk about that as well. I'll just let you comment if you have anything you want to ask or say.
No, that's interesting. So there are 8 steps in total.
Right. The steps. I will admit it's a bunch of years ago since I sold those trainings, but whether it's 7 steps or 9 steps, I believe it was 8 back then. But I understand the kind of the process, which would be the clarity, and it would be identifying the bridge the gap activities. It would be systemizing. It would be automating. It
Mm-hmm.
would be scaling, and would have some personal development tools in there to kind of supplement what it is that we're doing. Um, I'm pretty sure I had a mindset thing in there as well, and so that's why it became 8. But the important part is because for some clients we'll spend 70% of our time on the first kind of step or clarity thing, and then for others maybe it's only 10%. So the overall idea is this clarity, find out what it is that bridges the gaps, and then build a system around that, automate that, scale that, and then like I said, we have a bunch of like miscellaneous stuff as well that is more supplemental. Um, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So if someone reach out to you, like this is the method that you would apply in their company they wanna if they wanna stop wasting potential. And would this method work like in a business level, but also in a personal level?
Yeah,
Okay.
I've mostly done it on a personal level.
Okay.
So I've mostly done it for entrepreneurs and all of that, but it was more them as a person, and then because they went through this personally, their business would take off. Um, but I'm also very much looking into going to like corporations and doing this for everyone, doing it not just for the leaders, but also for the employees. But yes, so like I said, this clarity thing isn't super sexy, but sometimes I have a PDF. Maybe we'll link to that. That's just on my normal website, passionforachievement.com. There's a PDF called "The Seven Pillars of a World-Class Life,"
Mm-hmm.
which is basically just all of this clarity work that we're talking about here. So a lot of times people will already have gone through that, and then we kind of help them with the next steps from there. So we help them with the more practical, results-oriented um, stuff. But also, obviously, if the person is struggling with the clarity stuff, we'll help with that as well. So
Hmm. You keep saying it's not sexy. Listen,
it's not.
if you want to improve your life and you're really serious about it, like those steps that you're mentioning sound sex as fuck. Because there's some kind of guide, right?
Hmm.
If because when you're down and you're lost, that's the definition. You're lost. You don't know where to go, and there's someone who just comes around and say, "Hey, I've been where you are, maybe even worse, and I found a ladder out of it. You know, there's a way, and if you follow these steps, your life will get better, guaranteed." So I think that's sexy if you know if you consider the alternative.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, you're preaching to the choir. I love clarity work. I think it's such a powerful thing. Um, I've just personally, from my own experience, if that's what I go to markets with, if I go
Yeah.
out there and say, "Hey, I'll help you with clarity work," crickets. You know, it's no one will. So I have to kind of this idea of sell them what they want and give them what they need. There's this idea in business. I saw it when I was very young. There's this. It's a cartoon, and one person is making it looks like a lemonade stand, but instead of selling lemonade, he's selling a kick in the ass, right, for $1. Like, and a kick in the ass is not something that anybody really wants, but it's
Yeah.
what something a lot of people need. And so he sat there, and after 4 days, his friend came up to him and he said, "Hey, how's it going? Are you getting any sales?" And he said, "No, no one is interested." And I don't understand that because so many people would really benefit from a kick in the ass. You know, like a little bit of a motivational boost, but no one wants to buy that. So what we got to do is we got to so that's what I do when I'm like marketing. I'm talking to people. I'm talking about look, your productivity will quadruple and your energy levels will double, and you'll reduce stress by 50%, and all of these things because that's what the person actually wants. And then the way we do that, there's some clarity work, there's some habit work, there's some momentum work, there's a bunch of these things, and so it's more so the outcome that people find really interesting. And so that's why I say it's not sexy. I believe it's super powerful and super interesting, and that's why I'm spending so much time sharing it here. I think clarity work is huge. I think everyone will benefit from it. It's just sometimes people want the more practical stuff as well, and that's something we can build on top of the clarity work.
Hmm. I see. So you mentioned that you're like the for like your number one international Amazon best-selling author on your book called Maximizing Life, right?
The book is the book on Amazon that hit bestseller is
Yeah.
called The Cure for Mediocrity.
The Cure for Mediocrity. Okay.
But it's not something I'm promoting super much right now because I would like to do like a version two, like a second edition, and then I'll promote the heck out of that. So right now it's kind of in the shadows. Uh, I'm not really promoting it in any way, but it's a cool book. I've had some people in Denmark actually come up to me. This is incredible. I still obviously it impacted me a lot. I still talk about it. It happened years ago, but I've had people in the grocery store come up to me and say, "Hey Daniel, you did Hauge, right?" I said, "Yeah. What's up? I read your book. I have 4 pages of notes, and I've met people in bars and clubs and all that that have read my book and know who I am. I'm like, whoa. I've never experienced that outside of Denmark. Unfortunately, I would like to, I would like that would be cool if I could kind of grow that out. But so the book did really well here in Denmark actually, and um, so yeah, I'm looking to do a second edition in the future and promote that.
All right. Okay. Looking forward. So, the thing is nowadays there's so many people lost. There's so many people lost. You grew up like at least me watching TV the whole time and just playing video games. Like what am I gonna do with my life, you know? And then maybe I'm gonna develop video games, and it's fun. But okay, I kind of knew what I wanted to do from early on, but I can think about many people that I know that to this day they don't. So it's kind of cool that like you wrote a book that can help them, and like especially like you can see this people coming to you and say, "Hey, thank you." Like this must be amazing. Okay, but let's not talk about the book. There's a new one in the works. All right.
Yeah, I actually just rewrote that PDF on the page called the 7 pillars of a
Mm-hmm.
world-class life. I think that's pretty powerful. It's not the entire method. It's not the entire thing we do for clients. It's just the first step. But
Yeah.
if you're looking to grab that for just to get started a little bit, I think it's a cool thing. Um, and then other than that, now I'm getting more and more focused also on video content. I'm getting on a lot of podcasts.
Mm.
I'll be doing more and more video stuff on different social medias. Um, yeah.
Daniel. So one question though. So um, if one person like really want to go for it and work their ass off towards the goal, how do you avoid burnout? Like how would be your advice against burnout and workaholism? How do you
Well,
prevent
now
that?
I'm gonna sound a little bit like a broken record, but honestly, the values are pretty big. So if you're in a company and you value flexibility with your time and you don't have that, you're gonna be more stressed, obviously. If there's something that you value, something that's important to you, and you're not doing that, that's gonna burn you out. I studied a little bit of psychology, and uh, a lot of what stress is
Yeah.
is high expectations but low control and low kind of meaning and low alignment with what you're doing. I know for me personally, I've had times in my life when I was working 4 hours per day. I was stressed as um I've also had times in my life where I'm working 16-hour days and I feel great. So a lot of it is does it make sense what you're doing, and do you have some kind of control about what you're doing? That's big. Then we also have all of the practical stuff, right? If you're an entrepreneur, I see a lot of entrepreneurs, they neglect their health, so they eat bad, they don't get their sleep, they don't exercise, they don't really hang out with their social circle, they don't get fresh air, they don't get sunlight, they don't stay hydrated. All these things obviously will um, decrease energy and all that as well. Then we have things like doubt and overwhelm. So if you're not fully sure what it is that you're doing, I think we can all relate if our boss gave us an assignment and we don't fully understand what it is that we're supposed to do. We just know that it has to be done within the next hour and it has to be really, really good. But we're not fully sure what he meant when he gave us the assignment. That's something that can stress people a lot. So if you're in doubt, this can be you're in doubt of how to do the thing you're trying to do. A lot of people will say, I want to lose weight, but they're not fully sure how. That can make it more difficult and will stress you. Can also be maybe you're in doubt of the process. So if your trainer gave you a training program, but you're not really certain that the program is the right thing for you or if it's going to work or not, that's going to make it a lot harder for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doubting yourself, it's going to, I think once again, we all know that if we go to a sport or a hobby or some kind of assignment for school or work and we just know this is good, I've got this under control, I know exactly what to do, it stresses you a lot less
Mm-hmm.
um, than if you're uncertain. So I think to kind of put an umbrella term on this, uncertainty slash doubt will stress you a lot. And like I said, overwhelm. I think also for a lot of entrepreneurs, but also for just everyone else, if you feel like you have 20 things just floating around, that okay, maybe I should do a little bit of number 3, but I should also do some of number 17, but I can't do that until I've finished number 4, and it's just all overwhelmed. I think that stresses you so much. It gives you a lot of what I call bad stress unnecessarily. So if things are more dialed in, so you know exactly what to do, when, how, with whom, um, that will absolutely decrease your levels of stress and burnout, and will
Mm-hmm.
increase your energy levels.
Mm-hmm. I watched an interview today with an engineering from Apple. He's the one in charge of developing the new M chips from Apple M1, M2, M3, and I think he said I'm not remember if something like that. Like I don't like surprises,
Mm-hmm.
even on my birthday. Have you seen this? He does.
I know, but it makes perfect sense. As soon as you said that, I was like, I love where you're going with this.
He doesn't like surprise even on his birthday. So he's just eradicating completely the uncertainty from his life, basically, and so minimizing stress,
Yeah, I
eradicating
think I
stress.
think uh, I think minimizing bad stress is. We have to keep in mind though that stress is a really really good thing. So stress, if you're weightlifting, that's very stressful for your body. If you're if you're new to podcasting and you're getting on a podcast, you'll probably your pulse will be a little higher through that entire thing than it used to be. Oh, sorry, than it was before. So stress is a very very powerful thing, but it has to be something that teaches you something. It has to be something full of meaning, something where you know you're growing, you're moving toward what it is that you want in life. Also, if it's something you've chosen.
Mm-hmm.
So if I've chosen to be on this podcast, then it's kind of it's more okay if there's some nervousness or some stress than if someone forced me to be here. So there is good stress, but so a lot of the bad stress is what I'm trying to really eradicate, and yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I saw that apparently there's like a part of your brain that grows whenever you put your body and your mind through good stress. So what good stress would be, in my opinion, like cold showers or the sauna or the gym. Like all those things are things that you don't want to do actually, but you do it because you know it's good for you. And the more you do them, so that's the new study. Apparently, there's a part of your brain that changes, and this just activates throughout the day when you need to do other stuff, like at the office. Like you get an assignment that you kind of don't want to do, but if you have this area of the brain developed well enough, it won't be such a big deal, actually.
Yeah, I think I saw that on Huberman with Goggins. They were talking about it, about this idea that there's actually like biologically something that grows and improves when you're doing hard things, you're doing things that are uncomfortable. And so all of that I don't want to decrease. I don't want to eliminate. Obviously, you mentioned cold showers, weightlifting, doing stuff at work that's uncomfortable. I love all of that. I try to be uncomfortable every day. I think in general, doing hard things is just something, man. If you can practice that, you'll be unstoppable in everything. If you're really good at doing hard things in business, oftentimes you'll also be able to get yourself to the gym, and you'll oftentimes also be able to go up to that girl, even though it's scary. So just doing hard things is such a powerful thing to learn. I One of my mentors in business, who I respect a lot, and he's doing like $1 million per month or something crazy. It's incredible. He's really, really good at business. And I was in a kind of a mastermind or something like that with him, and everyone was asking him business questions. And then one person asked him, "What is something that we should be asking you that no one is asking you?" And he said, "The number one thing, I've only been asked this maybe 10 times in my career. I've been doing this for 17 years. No one asked me this, but it's the number one thing everyone should be asking, which is, how do I do hard things?" And this was not even a personal growth guy. This was like this is a pure business guy. But he said, doing hard things, that is such a big differentiator between people that make it and people that don't. So how do you have something happen to you in the morning? It's super negative, and you still get on that sales call at 4 p.m. and you close it, you crush it. How do you go to the gym when you're tired? How do you do the 100 cold pitches when you get rejected on the eighth in a way that was really, that sucked. So he's really talking about this idea of doing hard things, and I love what you're saying here, that you can actually, the more you do that, the stronger you get. So just much like a bench press, the more you bench press, the stronger you'll be. Well, the same thing happens when you do hard things.
Okay, so that's how you approach it as well, like a muscle, basically. Okay. I also approach it in a different way. I like to break it down as much as I can. If I, for example, my goal is to start lifting, I don't know, 20 kilos
Mm-hmm.
bench press in. I know that's my goal, my end goal. So I break it down like in 6 months. How much I should start, like the first week, the second week, the third week. It's a like incremental increase,
Mm-hmm.
and I really start like with 0.5 kilos. I'm giving this gym analogy, but I do that with everything, like the playing the guitar or working on the podcast. I once saw there's this Japanese study. I won't recall the name right now. That this study promotes that if you do one thing that I really want, like there's a huge task that I really want to start doing, like playing. Let's take playing the guitar. Start today. Play 1 minute. It's the 1 minute theory, or the 1 minute law, something like that. And if you just do it 1 minute, like that's enough. Tomorrow you can do 1 minute and 5 seconds, and you're gonna like when you start doing it, you see that you're not gonna do it for 1 minute. You're gonna do it. You're gonna start often do it for half an hour, 1 hour, and because the problem is not doing it, but start doing it.
Man, I love that, and honestly, I think 50% of our process is what you just said. So next time someone is looking to learn what our process is, I'll just send them to you, and you can say that, because honestly, man, that's exactly what we're looking to do. Because the hard part is getting started,
Yeah.
and so I'll go back to the systems part, because that's exactly what you're talking about here. What we'll do is we'll take this bridge the gap activity, and we'll build a system around it. Which an example of that could be, instead of saying I'll read sometimes, you could say I'll read 5 pages in a book before I go to bed. Or instead of saying I'll go to the gym when I feel like it and I have the right energy and the stars are aligned, you could say I'll go to the gym on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for 45 minutes after work, on my way home from work. So we try to build some kind of system, because that just takes the decision out of it, which is something we can talk about. I don't like decisions. I like to eliminate as many of those as possible. But but I always encourage people to start extremely small, like extremely small, to the point where it's ridiculous, like the 1 minute thing you're talking about. Like literally, just if you want to read every night, literally just start reading one sentence per night. That's it. Because the tricky part is, first of all, designing a system. Second of all, getting started, like actually doing the system. Once you're doing it over and over, so let's say you're reading one sentence in a book every night for 20 days. Now it's habit, right? Now it's something you just do. Now, once again, the decision is gone. It's just something you do. And let me tell you one thing: if there's a system or a habit that you're doing every day, it's the easiest thing in the world to scale that. There's nothing easier to me or my clients or to anyone listening here than scaling something that's already consistent. If you're reading 5 pages in a book every night, you can probably read 6. And if you can do that, you can probably read 7. If you can go to the gym for 40 minutes, you can probably do 45. Right? If you can send 20 cold pitches, you can probably do 22. So the tricky part is, once again, the clarity, so you know why you're doing what you're doing. Then we identify what kind of system are we going to build. Those are the hardest parts. So just make it as easy as you possibly can. I had a client that wanted to improve her health. She had tried for 30 years. She had tried all these fat diets, all these magazine diets, where you eat a Kenyan herb for 2 days and you lose 40 pounds or whatever it may be, something ridiculous. She tried all of it, and it just never really worked. And I said, look, all I need you to do, drink a glass of water when you wake up. That's the only thing. When you wake up in the morning, drink 1 glass of water. That's it. And she was kind of afraid of, okay, what if I don't even, what if I can't even do that? No problem. We'll say every Monday morning you'll drink a glass of water. That's literally all you do. And people listening to this will probably say, okay, I bet she didn't get anywhere with that. That's going to take ages for her to benefit. No, because we kind of quickly could build these systems, and then we could even quicker, we could scale them. So in like 4 months, I think she lost 17 kilos or something, and she's kept them off. She actually, I called it, it was 2 years ago that we worked together, and she's still just, her health is just incredible for her age, and it's all because we started with these small systems and scaled them.
Yeah, because it becomes a habit, right?
Yeah.
Habit. Yeah, as soon as it becomes a habit, you don't think about it anymore. It's not a problem anymore. It's like on the automatic. It's the auto mode, right? Automatic.
Yeah, there's no decision.
Yeah. This guy who is trying to. He's like a billionaire, millionaire, something like that. He's trying to reverse aging.
Sorry. I'm here. Sorry.
No problem. So he's trying to reverse aging. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yes, it's a tech guy that sold the company, and now he's looking to, yeah.
Exactly, this one. I watched a video like going through his routine, and a lot of his routine is based around that. Like he does everything in a certain order. For example, he wakes up in the morning, he does that, and then he's go to his kitchen, and on the counter of his kitchen there's product one, product two, product three, and then device four. I don't know. He like uses all the devices and products available, and he said he's always does always do it in this order, because then it's automatic. He doesn't even know he's doing it. It's like it's basically what we're talking about. Yeah.
I used to run in the mornings. So I
Mm.
would do I like to do weightlifting or some martial arts in the afternoon. And then in the mornings I'll do some kind of just quick, like a warm up or just something to kind of get my body starting. And that used to be running. It may be soon. It may be running again in the future, but I used to run every morning. And oftentimes I realized that I wasn't even thinking about the run until I already had like my running shoes on and I was almost outside. So once again, there's no decision. It just happens, and that's what I'm trying to do with as much of my life as possible. Um, I'm looking to put in as many systems as I possibly can for myself and for my business, so that I know every time I lay down at night, I know I am closer to all of my values. So I'm closer to my version of a world-class life in many different ways than I was when I woke up this day, when I woke up this morning. And I didn't have to make a bunch of decisions, and didn't have to fight myself. I have this concept of 100 fights that I like to talk about, but yeah, so there's no fight, there's no decision. That's so powerful.
100 fights? What?
Yeah, that's something that I like to. It's an idea I came up with because, like I said, I do a lot of martial arts, a lot of boxing, and I realized no one can win 100 fights per day. So if I don't care who you take, if you take the top fighters of the world, if you put them in the ring 100 times per
Mm-hmm.
day, they will lose some of them. Maybe some of us will lose 70 fights out of the 100. Maybe some will lose 30. But we're all gonna lose, and even the ones that we win are gonna be taxing. They're gonna tax our energy, our efforts, our time. But that's what most people do. They wake up and the alarm is ringing, and they go, should I snooze or should I not? Okay, I should no. Okay, I'll just snooze. 5 minutes later, should I snooze again or should I get up? And then they get up and they go, should I do my morning run or should I not? Should I scroll Snapchat now or should I put on my? So within an hour of their day, they've already fought themselves like 12 times, and I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's the same thing throughout the day. They're at the office, they get a vibration on their phone. Should I check or should I stay focused on what I'm doing? No, I should stay focused. But also I want to check, but I should stay focused. But I want to check. Even if you win that fight, even if you actually end up saying, "No, I'll just keep working." I still believe that's taxing. So good on you that you won that fight, but it still cost you energy, time, and resources. So what I like to do for my energy levels, but also just to make sure that I'm performing how I should be, I realized the only way that I can win 100 fights per day is if the opponent never shows up. All of those 100 fights, I'm just a winner by default because no one showed up to fight me. There wasn't a fight to begin with. It's just I just won by default. And that's what we're talking about here. When things happen automatically, when there's no decision, when it's just, oh, yep, I see now I'm already on my run. I didn't even have to think about that. Um, so I want as few of these fights as possible, once again, for my energy levels, mentally and physically and emotionally, but also for, to make sure that I actually win the 100 fights. And there's just no other way, in my estimation, to make that happen.
Yeah, that makes totally perfect sense. But we are talking about inner fights, basically. It's
Yes.
you with yourself. And in this case, it makes sense. But there's a lot of fights that are external. And in this case, I think it's a little bit hard to control them. I mean, you cannot control them at all because they're external. And when this happens, I would say, if I may add, is you need to pick up your fights. You cannot fight all of them. Like there's this new rule at work. Like you really wanna use all your energy to combat that and try to change and persuade your boss, or would you rather just not and then have more energy to do something else that you need to do that day? Like learn a
Yeah.
new skill. So when it comes to external factors, you need to choose the one.
You
Yeah.
could argue, though, you said some of those fights you can't control. You could argue, though, technically, that if you can control it, then there's no decision. That there's no. So right now, if the boss is 6 minutes late, there's no decision for you to make. There's no way you have to kind of go, okay, either I go this or I go this. I should go. I should really do this, but I kind of want to do this for my like instant gratification. So there's not really a decision because it's outside of your control. But I do realize there are other scenarios, like you said, your boss is making a change, and there's a decision. Should you speak up and fight back, or should you just put up with it? So I understand what you mean, absolutely. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Um, how do you balance all that? So you're an author, right? You wrote a book. You're gonna write your second one, or have already started. You're a founder, right? You have your company, and you also wrote in your profile like you have a loving relationship. That it's also part of things that you care about and put love into and effort to it. So how it's your time schedule? How do you manage all of that?
very good question. First of all, again, don't want to sound like a broken record, but that's possible because of the system. So I know
Okay.
I know kind of when I work out. I know when I work. I know when I'm spending quality time. I make sure that it's kind of designed in a way where it works together. But something I really talk a lot about with my clients is that many people are designing a life where everything is competing. So many business owners, when I start talking about the importance of taking their health seriously, they feel like that's in competition of their business. So they feel like if they should spend 2 hours in, you know, making healthy foods and going to the gym, all of that, that's 2 hours that we take away from business inputs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I try to design things in a way that's not always possible, but very often it is. You can design your routines and design your day to day and design your life in a way where they work on top of each other. For example, the kind of training that I do, I find that I have more energy, mentally and physically, for my work. I find that I'm way more productive in my work and I'm more confident and all these things if training is part of my day. I'll be inspired by hanging out with my partner, right? So I find ways where they're kind of working together. One thing I will say is something I've begun talking about more lately. I haven't really done too much on that yet, but it's a very powerful concept. Is I saw an interview years back, like 10 years ago, maybe 5 years maybe. Um, there was this guy who kind of did it all, right? He had a huge career, very big position. He had a wife, he had 4 children, he also had hobbies, he also had a charity, he had all these things. And the interviewer asked him exactly what you just asked me. how do you balance that? How do you make sure you get all these things done? How do you actually put yourself into so many things? And he said, sorry, and the interviewer asked him, how do you manage your time? And he said the time one is easy. That the time is easy. The tricky part is energy. How do you manage your energy? Because a lot of people will say they don't have time, but they'll maybe come home from work and they'll be 2 hours on the couch scrolling TikTok. And if you ask them, why did you do that? Well,
Mm-hmm.
I literally didn't have the energy to go on my side hustle or to go to the gym or whatever. So I think energy management is much bigger than time management. Yeah, I think that may be my answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes total sense. Have you heard about this psychological um, study? I'm not sure if it's study. It's a tool. It's a tool, psychological tool that they developed. So apparently, this is from Tobias Lundgren's, and the name of this tool is Tobias Lundgren's Bullseye. Have you heard about it?
No.
So it basically it's his approach to the whole thing. To the whole thing, I mean life. Our life is based on around four pillars. So pillar number one is work and education. Pillar number two is leisure. Pillar number three is personal growth or health, and pillar number four is relationships. And why it's called bullseye, because the drawing is basically a bullseye, and you do, the exercise is basically to draw mark an X closer to the center to for I probably not explain it is the best way, but basically you have those four pillars, and if you have all of those four pillars balanced, you have a stable, calm, fulfilling life. So I heard about it like 2 years ago, and it's like, wow, that makes so much sense. Work, leisure, personal growth, relationship, like those are the things that matter accordingly to Tobias Lundgren. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it kind of matches a little bit to what you're saying, right? Like quality time with the girlfriend, loved ones, exercise, try to do a good job, have time for yourself. Like those
Yeah.
kind of the things that matter, and if you do them well, you're gonna
And
get a
then I
great.
think we still gotta uh, hold on to that idea that people are different. So for some people, maybe they want 3 hours per day with their partner. For other people, maybe they just want to see their girlfriend 2 hours per week. For some people, they want to work out 3 hours per day. For some people, they just want to work out 1 hour 3 times per week. So I think I don't think we all want a perfect equally amount of all these things. I think
Mm-hmm.
some people want more of that, other people want more of the other thing. I know people that are super, super healthy and love their lives and are thriving and they work 16-hour days. And then we have other people that work 2 hour days and they're also. So I think you gotta find your kind of bullseye thing.
Mm-hmm.
Which so it's yeah.
Yeah, perfect. I agree. I agree. We're not all the same, right? Everyone have different needs and different values. Um, so talking about we were talking about like developing skills. I saw that you're a ninja. What?
No, I just mean I've always loved being I've always loved moving. So when I was young, I started doing karate. I've
Yeah.
done a lot of martial arts. I've done parkour, gymnastics. I've just wrestled with my brother. I love trampolines. I actually just 2 weeks ago I took my little cousin. He's 11 years old. I took him to a trampoline park. I think I was just as excited as he was, if not more. So I just really love like moving in different ways. So yeah, that's why I put that there.
I thought it was funny. Yeah, I'm a ninja, but uh, I think when you're moving, your brain functions differently.
Mhm.
Like if you want to retain information, if you're moving, I think that's better. I also probably
Interesting.
saw that on Huberman, like a TikTok, something like
Mhm.
that. But I was like, yeah, that makes sense because whenever I'm really, really like into like into like a conversation like on the phone with a friend of mine, I'm just like walking around the house. I'm not on the couch because it does something to my brain. So, and I'm sure like being a ninja, it's super helpful.
Another thing that it does for me when I'm moving, not so much when I'm in the gym because I have a lot of rest and I'm on my phone sometimes between sets and stuff like that, but just about every other kind of movement, it pulls me to the present.
Yeah,
So I'm someone that thinks a lot. I'm someone that kind of looks into the future a lot, and sometimes that can also be a little bit stressful if you could do that for too long without a break. So for me, physical movement can kind of pull me to the present, and sometimes an hour of that, an hour of Muay Thai boxing or something like that, and I come out and it's like my brain has gotten a shower
yeah,
for the first time in 6 days or something like that. It just really feels good.
it does. Have you ever tried? Another thing that also helps me to achieve that feeling. It's not as good as exercise or going to the gym, but also helps meditation.
Yes, I love it.
Did you do it?
I meditate. I love it. I like I said, I have a brain that likes to think a lot, and I've realized that meditation is not a magic pill for my thinking, all these things. But if there was a magic pill, it would be meditation. And sometimes it's only like 6 minutes, and afterwards I'm just like, oh, I'm just floating almost. I just feel amazing, and so yeah, meditation is great.
How often do you meditate?
I try to do it daily. I used that app or website called 10% Happier,
Hmm.
and you get like a lesson. So you get maybe like a 5 minute video where they talk about meditation, how it works, and why it's important, all these things. And then afterwards you get like an actual meditation. So that's I like to do a lesson and a meditation every day.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't always end up the meditation feeling good. Some days I'm so like stressed that I cannot meditate. It's like I think it's like we said earlier, like it's like a muscle. It's like going to the gym. At least for me, meditation. Like if I don't do it for a while, it gets
Mhm.
super hard to do it after. It's something that I need to
Yes.
do it every day for 1 week, and then I start getting the effect out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's brilliant.
So, Daniel, anything that you can talk about the future for Passion for Achievements? Any future plans that you'd like to share with us?
I'm going way harder on my personal brand. So for a lot of years, I've kind of been hiding behind Passion for Achievement. So all of our ads, all of our marketing has been the Passion for Achievement logo, the Passion for Achievement products. We've been sending everything to the Passion for Achievement website, and that's all good. And I will maybe continue doing a lot of that, but I want to go a lot harder on my personal brand. That's why I'm here. I'm on a bit of a podcast tour. I think
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing like 40 podcasts per month right now, and I am, yeah, it's a pretty big part of my day to day right now. Um, but I love it. It's really cool, and I get to meet awesome people, and so it's great. And I will be going way harder. I'm actually building now from scratch an Instagram account, a LinkedIn, a Facebook. I'll be going harder on my personal brand. So, and that also makes sense for when I am writing that book. When I am doing the second edition for that, it makes sense that I have passion for achievement and I have my books and I'll maybe have some kind of a speaking career and I'll have, so that all kind of revolves around my personal brand instead of everything revolving around passion for achievement. I'm looking forward to that, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
All
Yeah.
right. Um, so, do you have any advice? I like asking this question because Lex Friedman always do, and I think it's amazing. Like, do you have any advice for younger people who maybe are starting their careers right now?
Yeah, I would say add as young an age as you possibly can, figure out what it is that you want. And when I say figure out what it is that you want, I'm not, some people will come up to me and they'll say, "Oh, Dan, I just really wish I had more money." Cool, here's $1. What's next? You know? So instead of telling me you want more money, tell me in my business I would like to do $40,000 per month in revenue at an 80% margin within the next 6 months. right? That's like
Tangible.
that's detail.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the same thing with your health. Instead of saying I'd like to be healthy, say I would like to add 6.5 kilos of muscle mass while losing 2.5 kilos of fat, and I would like to increase my blah blah blah. Um, so figure out, especially for your career, if you're young and you're now getting into picking your studies or picking your career path, really truly figure out what it is that you want, as in as much detail as possible. And how do you do that? Well, you could do it with some of the tools that we have, but also we use a lot of questions. So ask yourself a ton of questions, like, and not just for your career, but for everything. Ask yourself questions, especially if you're young, but I would do this at any age. Ask yourself, why did I get jealous there? Why was I super happy yesterday evening when I wasn't happy in the morning? Why am I motivated right now, and why wasn't I an hour ago? Why does it interest me when I read about business, but it doesn't interest me when I read about history? Why is that? So just ask yourself a gazillion questions every day. Some of them you can answer right away, some of them you can, but that's how you learn who you are and who you're trying to become. And I think that's the more you can do that, and the earlier you can do that, the better.
Yeah. Great. Uh, well said. Boat without destination will just get stranded in this. It will get lost in the sea, right? You need to have a focus and a goal to know how to get there. So
Exactly. Yeah. Someone in my family taught me this concept called yeah. So in Denmark we call it football. I know a lot of my American colleagues are calling it soccer. But imagine you're on a football field,
yeah,
and there are no goals. So you still have your team, you still have your opponents, you still have the ball, you still have all the lines, you have everything, but there are no goals. Where would you run?
yeah,
And how fast would you be running? And when would you kick the ball? And how? And why? And which team member would you kick it to? You know? But when would you have known when you've scored? When would you have known when you failed? When would you know when you won? You wouldn't know any of these things. You would literally just be a bunch of headless chickens just running around, having no clue. And that's such a shame. And I'm not trying to insult anyone. I'm trying to, because I don't want that for you. And if you're listening to this, you no longer will be. And I don't know if you have been that up until now, but figure out what it is that you're actually trying to move towards. I think that's such a powerful thing.
yeah, yeah. Of course. Steve Jobs once said. Steve Jobs once said, "Figure out what you want. You need, and if you don't know, keep looking.
Yes.
Keep looking." All right, Daniel. Thank you very much for being a part of BruCast. I hope our listeners were able to take some value from it. I'm sure they did. And could you remind everyone where they can find your work?
Yeah, absolutely. So if some of you wanna just hop on a call and see if I can help you somehow, you can do that on passion4achievement.com. That's the number four. So passion, the number four, achievement.com. And then for everyone else, I think the best place to go is my Instagram at I am Daniel Hauge. Because at I am Daniel Hauge, I will have more and more content. Like I said, it's building a little bit from scratch, but there will be tons of content in the very near future. And also from there, you can grab our free tools and you can talk to me as well. And so, yeah.
All right. We're going to leave the links on the description below again. Daniel, thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me. It's been great.
All right. So thank you, everyone. If it's your first time watching the show, make sure to like and subscribe. We're also, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please rank 5 stars to the show. This will ensure that the podcast will be recommended to more people and allow me to do what I love doing. BruCast is also on Instagram, X, TikTok, where we upload shorts with the highlights of the show. So follow BruCast on Instagram, X, and TikTok. Links below. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Daniel. And see you next time, everyone. Bye-bye.